Hello, my horror-loving dudes. I'm KillJoy Jake, and today we're talking a little bit about Freddy Krueger. Who in the world of Hollywood could play Freddy Krueger next now that Robert Englund has retired from playing the character? Well, old Jake is making a whole video about it, so let's get right on into it.
Well, sometimes that is better.
So as I reported very recently on this page, Robert Englund has stated that he no longer wants to play Freddy Krueger because he's too old and too thick. And if you thought that last thing was a diss towards Robert Englund, no, he actually said he's too thick to play the role. And he's talking thick with 2 C's, baby. My man Robbie is caked up. Now I have 3 actors here that could play the role of Freddy Krueger next after Robert Englund for whatever comes next from this franchise when we finally get the announcement that a new Freddy Krueger movie is on the way. Before talking about all that though, I have 2 things to talk with all of you about. First of all, there's some new merch at the KillJoy Jake store. You can get yourself a Directed by Wes Carpenter shirt, as I'm wearing right now. There's some Pride shirts. We did the inverse of this, which is John Craven. So you can get like a matching shirt to go with this one. Directed by Wes Carpenter, written by John Craven. There you go. Check that out. Go get yourself a shirt. I really appreciate it, and it really helps this channel. I also want to talk about an honorable mention here, because I don't think Jackie Earl Haley is that bad as Freddy Krueger. I just think the script for that 2010 movie kind of blows. I'm going through all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies again. I watched the first one. It's kick-ass. It's a damn near masterpiece. I love it. See, then you get into some of the sequels though, and are those really much better than that 2010 movie? I don't know, man. Admittedly, Freddy Krueger's new look and the repeat quips from some of the old movies absolutely suck in that 2010 movie, but Jackie Earl Haley's given it his best. But finally getting into the list in no particular order really, at number 3 is Kevin Bacon. A couple of years ago, Robert Englund said that this would be his first choice for someone to play Freddy Krueger besides himself. I kind of disagree. Kevin Bacon absolutely has the look to play Freddy Krueger, which I definitely mean that as a compliment. I'm not saying he looks disgusting like a pizza face like Freddy Krueger does, but I've just always preferred when Kevin Bacon plays the protagonist in a movie. I mean, like, think Friday the 13th, Tremors, Footloose. We're talking some of his best roles here. Well, now let's talk some of his worst roles, they/them. Also, Robert Englund said that nearly 8 years ago about Kevin Bacon, and since then, Kevin Bacon has gotten up there. He's 64 years old now, and the whole reason that Robert Englund is not playing Freddy anymore is because he's too old and thick, like we said earlier. And listen, in no way am I saying that older people can't be in horror movies. Look at Jamie Lee Curtis go in those last 3 Halloween films. Fuck yeah. But in that same quote that I was talking about where Robert Englund's talking about how he can't really play the role anymore, a big reason why is because he's just too old to do more than one take for an action sequence. I just feel like we're not really fixing the problem if we cast Kevin Bacon as Freddy Krueger. Like, if Kevin Bacon does it, well, why doesn't Robert Englund? Just to clarify too, I wouldn't be against Kevin Bacon as Freddy Krueger, but he's just not my first choice. Next up for our potential future Krueger, we got Richard Brake. Richard Brake is a name you may not be familiar with, but you've definitely seen him play somebody in something. Like Game of Thrones, for instance, he's the Night King. And then also most recently, he's the serial killer guy in Barbarian. Richard Brake has countless credits to his name. He has so much versatility and range, I think he would absolutely kill it as Freddy Krueger. And just like Kevin Bacon, he absolutely has the look for it. Like, his role in Mandy is very different than his role in Barbarian. But in all these movies, he's pretty much a villain at one point or the other, but they're all very different types of villains. That's why I think he could slip into the role of Freddy Krueger excellently. Now, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite or, well, a Kevin Bacon hater, because oh boy, I can't get me enough of the old Baconator. But Richard Brake, we should address this, is also up there. He's 58 years old. Old Bakester's got 6 more years on him, but still. My thing with Richard Brake, though, is I just feel like he has more experience playing monsters and villainous characters like this. Think about the Night King. I mean, he probably had to sit in a chair for at least like 6 hours while all that makeup was applied to him. It would be the same situation with Freddy Krueger. Richard Brake just has a lot more experience, in my opinion. Later on in this video too, we're going to talk about the 2 big principles that whoever plays Freddy Krueger next needs to understand and able to slip into the burned skin. I've seen Richard Brake do both of these things really well, which is the more comedic and goofy side to Freddy, which is crucial. Like, listen, I know a lot of us want a dark Freddy, but nobody is going to watch a movie where Freddy Krueger is played straight. He's a serial killer that visits teenagers' dreams and then kills them. That you want to play that straight? That's inherently funny. There's no way you can do a new Nightmare movie where it's just played straight. It's an absolutely dark slasher movie. I don't know. It's got to be a little goofy. You have to capture a little bit of that with Freddy Krueger, I think. But there is a darkness to Freddy as well. Like, he likes to kill children. You have to have that be a factor there. But just like Art the Clown, even though he is sinister and has an ill-fated agenda for basically everyone that comes across his path, you still have to have him having fun doing it. Because that's the best part of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, is watching this guy have the time of his life killing teenagers. That's the best part of those movies. The characters aren't much to write home about. If Freddy's not on screen, I almost lose interest. Richard Brake would be able to find the balance between those two elements really well, I think. You know, speaking of Art the Clown, David Howard Thornton actually wouldn't be a bad choice either. But my absolute #1 choice for Freddy Krueger for a new movie would 100% be Glenn Howerton. Howerton is no stranger to horror movies. See what I did there? Because he gets his face blown off in The Strangers. He also meets a similar fate in 2020's The Hunt, which is a pretty good movie. It's a little underrated, if not divisive. Glenn Howerton, though, is probably best known for his role on Always Sunny in Philadelphia as Dennis Reynolds, a character who is basically a sociopath that is absolutely batshit insane. It's very silly while also being very creepy. Two things that are needed for a Freddy Krueger portrayal. And listen, if you're on the fence about Glenn Howerton playing Freddy Krueger, I want you to watch 2 episodes of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The gang buys a boat and the gang goes to hell. In both of these oddly boat-themed episodes, you get to see Dennis Reynolds portray more of his creepy sociopathic side. Like if you've seen the boat episode, you know about the implication joke, which is really creepy and really scary, and you want to know what that means.
Because if the girl said no, then the answer obviously is no.
No.
But the thing is she's not gonna say no. She would never say no because of the implication.
But I think the best example is The Gang Goes to Hell, an episode in which all of these characters are trapped on a Christian cruise ship that Mac gets them on, and Dennis Reynolds starts hitting on one of the other characters. Watch that scene where Dennis pretty much pins her in a corner holding his hand like this. Tell me he wouldn't be a great Freddy Krueger.
I'm watching you, following you of sorts, in a good way.
That shit is scary as hell and cringeworthy as f. I think he would kill it in this role. But if a new Nightmare film happens and they're casting for Freddy Krueger another actor besides Robert Englund, I just hope whoever it is captures not only the dark side of Freddy Krueger, but the silly side too, because both are very crucial to making a good Nightmare film. So you have to find that balance between the dark side of Freddy Krueger and the sillier side. Like listen, you don't have to have Freddy Krueger giving quips like he's Robert Englund. You can have a different take on the character. But if Freddy Krueger isn't having fun killing children, it's not gonna work. Imagine if Art the Clown comes out in Terrifier 3 and he just looks like this the whole time. It's not gonna be as fun. Terrifier 2 or A Nightmare on Elm Street would not be the hits that they are if it wasn't about a guy having a blast killing people. You gotta have that element to it. You gotta have that fun or it's just not going to work. It's gonna fall flat. While Glenn Howerton is my personal top pick to play Freddy Krueger, what do you guys think about it? Who do you think should play Freddy Krueger next in a Nightmare requel, remake, continuation, whatever? Leave me something about it in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching this new A Nightmare on Elm Street video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more horror content in the future. Please consider supporting me on Patreon as well if you want to see this channel grow, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all. Buy a shirt, go do it, link in the description.